Well, hello good peoples of the internet and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about the Winchesters. No, not Sam and Dean Winchesters, but the actual show, the Winchesters, because yesterday the first episode dropped and I took a look at it, so I just wanted to share my views and opinions on that new show with you. So without further ado, let's jump right in, shall we? Alright, so right off the bat, let me tell you that I quite enjoyed that first episode. It's not been that long since Supernatural ended, it's about 2 years. But still, it was long enough for me to get some warm and fuzzy feelings, because I quite missed that vibe, being in that universe. And yes, it has the supernatural vibe, which is great, because if it didn't, well, it wouldn't really work, would it? Some other things that it's also got, it's some Easter eggs. Of course, everybody on the internet has been telling everyone about everything that they saw, so yeah, I'm just gonna mention a few. It's not gonna be that big of a deal. If you're watching this, you've probably watched some other things. So yeah, the Manor Motel, the Nutter written on... the hell was that? There was also a D Nutter that has been written on some Metal Letter files. Not really sure why the name's there, but I know why that name is there, because David Nutter directed the first Supernatural pilot, so it's kind of fitting that his name is somewhere in the Winchesters spin-off pilot. At least in my mind it makes some sense, and probably it did in the showrunner's mind as well, because why else would it be there? Plus there's the green cooler that we see in the back of the Impala at the end of the episode, so yeah, that's nice too. So yeah, those things I really enjoyed, but those are just Easter eggs, so let's dive a little bit deeper. Let's scratch beneath the surface and see what's there that's good as well. Well, I had some apprehensions about this show, because obviously in nowadays media, people tend to be a little bit too politically correct, and I don't really care what kind of characters you want to introduce in a show, but those characters better have some character growth and something to learn and a story arc to complete, otherwise it's kind of pointless and it's just tokenism. Well, I'm glad to say that I didn't think that these new characters were there just for the sake of being tokens for X, Y, Z, whatever floats your boat, representation you want to see, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's more equality in sexes, whether it's some non-binary peoples being in there. Everything's in there, but it's not it's not sold as being tokenism. At least it's not the way that I perceived it whilst watching that first episode. Obviously there's only one episode out now, so maybe things are going to change, but I don't have the feeling that they're going to be just token characters being there just for the sake of having some people being like, yay, I'm feeling represented. I don't think it's going to go that badly. I think it's going to go pretty well. I'm feeling a little bit reassured about these apprehensions that I had about the show. The other apprehensions that I had were mostly about staying true to the canon of Supernatural, and maybe they're gonna stray a little bit here and there, but mostly they seem to want to stay coherent with the mothership, aka Supernatural, the show, and yeah, they seem to be doing a good work. Then again, as I said, first episode, so things might change, but they seem to be taking it very seriously. Like, Jensen's very involved with everything that's got to do with that show. It's his baby. No, it's not the Impala, but another type of baby. So yeah, Jensen's very involved in the show. Plus, everyone that's working on the show is kind of already knowledgeable about the series. They've either watched it all the way through, or they've worked on it for most people. So yeah, that's a good sign. Plus, they have a canon consultant, and they use the fan wikis for Supernatural. So yeah, it's kind of a good way to make sure that everything just fits neatly, even if I'm sure that they're going to throw us some curveballs here and there that we didn't really think about. Obviously, there's the problem of, well, John always said that he didn't know anything about the Supernatural until he went to Misery Mosley after Mary died. Well, there's been some angel memory douchebaggery happening before, so it could be that, or it could be something completely different this time that makes it that their memories are not as good as they should. Where did Dean get the info though? Because Dean is narrating this whole thing. Who knows? We're probably going to discover that somewhere further down the line. And if not, well, they should probably address that issue, at least I think. And I'm pretty sure that many people's reaction will be the same, that they should probably, like, give us, yeah. Oh yeah, and on the tangent here, at the end, there's a scene with Dean where he says something akin to, you'll just have to wait and see for all this story to unravel, and in the meantime, sit tight and I'm picking the music. This could be interpreted in myriads of different ways, but yeah, the two that came to mind were, well, first, driver picks the music, shotgun shuts his cake hole, so yeah, that's a little bit of a callback from that. But the other thing that I think this means is, this is all stuff that Dean learned, gained from people that knew his parents back then. So the soundtrack that we hear is the soundtrack that he's playing in his head. So if there's some songs here and there that aren't from 1972, because the show is in 1972 right now, well, that's just because it's happening in Dean's head. We're hearing the music that he picks. But it's not necessarily the music that played for reals. Anyways, make of that what you will. It's my own little theory to explain why some musical choice could not make sense, but still end up making sense. Anyways, just my own view of the thing, I guess. Another thing that I really enjoy was the Scooby-Doo vibe that we get from the gang. Obviously in Supernatural there was only ever really Sam and Dean. There were some other key players that gravitated toward them and that were kind of their family, but it wasn't really a gang of people going to do a job. Sometimes it was that when they really needed the backup, but most of the time it was just the boys doing their things, and it was alright, and I think that this gang of youths is going to be fun as well, to see them doing their thing. But yeah, there's a little bit of a Scooby-Doo vibe about them. They're riding in a van, but apart from that and the kind of cohesion mishmash thingy happening there, there's no one character that you can point towards and being like, he's Fred, she's Velma, that's Daphne. They don't really equate all that much, even if maybe you could say, yeah, John's Fred, even if it's not his van and he's not driving. But John's Fred, because he's a bit bland. But it's probably gonna get better, I think. Right now he's a bit bland. I'm not saying that he's completely tasteless. It's just a bit bland. Put a little bit more salt on it, maybe. Or something. Just spice him up. It's my opinion. But yeah, make of that what you will. Alright, so last thing that I liked about this episode, but probably the show as a whole, it's being filmed in New Orleans, which is very different from Vancouver. Obviously, as a proud Canadian, well, proud, I'm not really sure how proud you can be of being a Canadian nowadays. But anyway, as a Canadian, I was a little bit bummed that they didn't film in Vancouver, even though it's not my neck of the woods. They're West Coast and I'm East Coast, so yeah, completely different thing. But nonetheless, it was fun to have a big show like Supernatural being filmed in Vancouver, even if it wasn't the only one that's been done there. I mean, there was Stargate before that, and there were X-Files, and yeah, Vancouver's got a lot of history for loads of shows, I guess. I'm probably not knowledgeable about half of them, but whatever. I'm a little bit bummed out that they don't film there anymore, but New Orleans has got a different vibe, and it's probably going to fit better for the 70s aesthetic that they were aiming for. And plus, I'm not sure if they really do that much of a treatment to the image on a computer, or maybe they... I don't think that they use film for this particular show, but yeah, treatment to some film or whatever. How they do that. It's got a little bit of a sepia tone to it, so it's like a sepia filter. Kind of fits the vibe and the aesthetic, so yeah, I like that also. Alright, so now those are the things that I liked. I liked the characters, I liked the setting, I could even say that I liked the intro section that was a little bit, well, a lot of bit Indiana Jones inspired. But yeah, now that I've talked about the stuff that I liked and some of the apprehensions that I had that were somewhat alleviated, there's still some problems, but yeah, it's probably not that big of a deal, and they're probably going to try and address them in subsequent episodes. Like, I think that they went a bit fast with how talkative John and Mary are. I mean, I know we're all knowledgeable with those characters, and yeah, why not be open and talk about, yeah, I just picked that picture up and suddenly I'm going to tell you, when I was 5, my dad told me this. Maybe it's a bit too much information for someone that you just met, even if you've bonded over the fact that you both kind of look for your dad, even if Mary definitely knows that her dad is still alive and John doesn't really know anything about his dad. But yeah, they were a bit fast in being very open about feelings and stuff. It's not bad, but it's just doesn't really seem natural that quickly. But whatever. I mean, maybe it's just because they're love struck and all that. Anyways, there's that little point that kind of didn't really work for me, but it's alright. I can look past that. It's not that big of a deal. It's kind of the same thing that I had with Carlos. I mean, he's a fun dude and all that, but they went really, really, really fast for the fact that, hey, you see that guy? Well, actually, that guy, well, he likes everyone. Like, he's not bi-curious. He's explored both sides of that coin, and yeah, he just love him and leave him, whether they're male, female, whatever. Well, I can't really say whatever, because I don't think he's done any bestialities or stuff like that, but maybe he has. Maybe it's just something that he waits for the second episodes to tell us, because they really went fast on telling us, like, yeah, when I was dating that girl, I was screwing around with that bloke, and or was I in a break, or was I, I don't really, anyways, he works as a character, but I'm not loving him all that much. Like everyone was saying, like, oh, Jojo as Carlos, he's so good, he's so star. Yeah, he's gonna steal the show. He eats the tapestry in every scene. Everyone's gonna love him. And I'm like, yeah, I liked him better when I saw the trailer, and I was like, yeah, Jimmy, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, yeah, that I really liked, but yeah, I don't know, or maybe I do know, and it's the fact that he's a bit of a twat and he's not really responsible. Yeah, I got a problem with people that aren't responsible. But yeah, so those were my main gripes that I had with the show. As I said, it's not that big. I've probably rambled on far too much for that little of a problem, which is basically some character are being defined a little bit too quickly for my liking. But yeah, if it's only that I've got to say that's not that good about the show, well, it's not that big of a deal. At least it's not Lord of the Rings of Power, where nothing happens and no character gets... It's either too fast or way too fucking slow. That's why we can have nice things. Even if, well, the Winchester seems to be a nice thing, so let's be grateful about that, because I am. So yeah, that's all I got for you. I've been rambling on for way too long, so I'm just gonna leave now. See you around, hunters.